Liberal teen versus conservative parents.
When you're young, you're not thinking, and everybody has made a bad choice. And because you stressed out.
Oh wow, that's what could possibly go wrong, guys. What could possibly go wrong, guys? This type of prompt. This is the type of prompt that's just bait, dude.
You go change your gender because you want to try something new. Once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination.
When Jubilee created Middle Ground, the intention was to uncover humanity and empathy shared among strangers with
the goal was to farm comment wars, chat wars, and content, dude.
opposing beliefs. Whether your political beliefs are on the left or the right, we all exist within our own echo chambers. So for this episode, we partnered with Ground News and created a test that can analyze your news sources and show you their biases. The participants of this episode agreed to take the quiz and share their results. We encourage you to do the same.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cancel culture is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has.
Listen. You guys a question mark because you're dumb, okay? I'm the most anti-cancel culture of people out there that you'll see, okay? And I still agree that cancel culture is a good thing inherently, okay? The problem is how it's used, who is using it, and the way that it's going. But overall, inherently, the concept of cancel culture is and can be a good thing, because sometimes nobody will hold anybody accountable, because if somebody didn't break the law, right?
King of lurking here, dink dong.
So then they don't go to jail or whatever, right? They didn't break the law. But they did something really fucking scummy and terrible and disgusting or whatever. It's okay to be able to hold them accountable in the platforms of the public media. That's okay. And that's what it is to be canceled. But in reality, you guys need to understand that nobody gets canceled. Nobody. Okay? See, being canceled is a myth. You cannot name 10 people in the last 10 years that have been canceled. You just can't. Why? Because nobody actually the only people that get canceled are the people who cancel themselves. That's how it is. Connie Carson, he canceled himself. Everybody, they cancel themselves. Why? Because they're afraid of using the platforms that they're not to be shit on. But in fact, they're allowed to. Being canceled means you cannot use any more platforms because you've been deplatformed and you've been removed from certain places. That's what being canceled is. If you're allowed to post on your shit, if you're allowed, if you still have a voice, you're not really canceled.
The freedom to respond in.
Dude, that's just kind of how it is. Okay. The way it's being used is, this makes me upset, therefore it's wrong, and therefore they should not be allowed to talk anymore because I don't agree with this. That's how people use cancel culture. It's why it's bad. It's why you guys say that I'm wrong about this. But overall, cancel culture is a good thing. Sometimes the legal system will fail. Sometimes the legal system cannot operate on certain things. It's why sometimes it's okay to have somebody accountable and shit on them when they do dumb shit in public. That's why canceling them is a good thing. But that's in the very extremes of people. But the problem is that nobody in the knowledge
cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of like deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
What is your opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter?
When you go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines, I agree to follow them, and he didn't follow them, so Twitter has the right to take him off the app.
And for people that might make the counter.
Okay, as much as she's right though, let's be honest though, chat. Guys, I'm a centrist, okay? And she's right, okay? Don't get me wrong, I will never defend Trump or anybody, chat, but listen, I'm gonna play in the middle here because I'm a centrist Andy, and just go ahead and say it. I just wish Twitter actually enforced and legitimately cared about the same as the Trump tweets, as other people tweets that are also very, very dangerous and promote dangerous ideologies. The problem is they're being a bunch of fucking hypocrites. It's just fucking hypocrites. They're like, guys, we banned Trump because misinformation this. Okay, what about all the ones that are doing it, that are out there and have millions of followers? Oh, well, no, there's no, dude. if you're going to enforce across the board, motherfucker, it's not that hard. It's not.
Argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians. That's not true at all. Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance on both sides.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it matters to Twitter what their community guidelines are. That's
He's right. I think off-platform actions should weigh in the scales.
why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what every platform has, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
If they've done that and they've posted videos of stoning gay people, I agree, they should be removed, and that 100%. Is fundamentally wrong.
Except the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Well, then why wasn't Trump
then
smart
the
enough to
president
not do
wasn't
that?
smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote between this person and this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you could be a Klansman, you could say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody to love me and
as much as he's right though, like these platforms are private entities. They own their site. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They want to ban you. I mean, they ban you. You don't really, when you make an account, you don't own, guys, you can get banned, you can get removed for
think the way I think. All y'all think different. I mean, that's totally dope.
Call
but the
them
fact that you
biased,
want
call them
somebody
whatever, but they're still
removed
within their right to do it.
because they think differently, that could be you one day.
Do you think freedom of speech
I'm sorry,
is
that's how it is.
something that still exists in America?
We do have aspects of freedom of speech. Like, you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting talk.
If people react negatively to what you say, it goes both ways. You can't just say
Sure.
that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
America is becoming less.
Wait, what did I say? What was it?
Yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting
That's a
talk.
problem.
If people react negatively to what you say, it goes both ways. You can't just say
Sure.
that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yo, what can we do? They're
America
arguing.
is becoming less and less safe.
I'll leave this to you guys.
So I have a lot of friends that have been in the military for the last 20 years because they refused to get vaccinated. They told me that they would be dishonorably discharged or kicked out of the military. I just believe we're losing a lot of good servicemen with the current situation that we're in right now.
A lot of police officers are down. Crime is up all over. When police aren't there, we're murdering each other at a really high rate. Police are in those neighborhoods because the homicide rate is high. Y'all can run around talking about police all you want, but I challenge any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
The one advantage we have about being older, we've been through a threat or two. And our enemies, like China, the Communist Party in China, they're laughing at us. Russia's like, we don't need to do much. They're gonna screw it up on their own. We need to get the help of our younger people that haven't been through a threat before to realize a lot of what's going on is not good. My name is Mike, I'm 59 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. Growing up during the 1980s, that was a huge influence on me, and it formed my views, and the people that I was around is the reason why I'm a conservative parent. I think America should be more middle of the road.
Okay, hold up. Let me look at his stats. He says, Mike's news source bias, 60% right. Factual score, mixed factuality.
And not be necessarily more liberal. And if anything, it should be a hint more on the conservative side. Because we're going to watch our freedoms get extinguished or encroached if we don't guard those freedoms and make sure that all of our children have a chance to succeed.
Can they disagree?
Guys, I understand, guys, freedom. The thing, a lot of times I hear people say, oh, dude, freedom. They don't understand that sometimes their freedom is impeding on somebody else's freedom, and they don't really get that. When in fact, freedom is that everybody can, not just you or somebody else. That's the problem.
I
actually said that your freedom, guys, your freedom, you can have it, you can do it as much as you want, as long as it's not impeding or overrunning somebody else's freedom. How is that hard to understand it? Freedom is that for everybody to have that freedom, and we can all live in a space that's like next to each other.
Actually wished I came up here for the agreeing section because
Example?
I think
Example is, motherfucker, okay? You're in a place, okay, you're in a private place, motherfucker. Some guy comes in screaming and says, yo, bitch! And then he says some bullshit, some racism or something like that, right? And then you're like, okay, well, you can't do that here. Freedom of speech, motherfucker! It's like, but dude, no, that's not really how it works though, because then you're impeding on somebody else, that's, you don't understand how that works?
Interpreted the definition of safety the same way that you guys did, but after hearing your guys' conversation, I started thinking about how our American people aren't safe in the face of like imminent climate disasters that are coming our way, and how we don't have the infrastructure to deal with that.
I actually very much agree with that, because I think we need to define what we mean by we're less safe now. Do we mean there's more homicides after COVID, or what do we mean?
I would say before we got rid of half our military, half our police force, slavery was legal, the Holocaust was legal, so we can look at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said, they were doing what was right. So everybody losing their job for not getting vaxxed, and all the vax people, you got who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who gonna do what we say. The enemies are coming, and we don't care about that because we wanna care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theory. It's like, no one else cares about that but us in America. That's our problem.
So you think that talking about sexual orientation and all that kind of stuff takes away from the safety of our country?
Who you sleep with has no merit in the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope. With the coronavirus pandemic, why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was already affecting the nation?
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office. It's all fake. It's my opinion.
I agree with you.
I don't think that we could create, or the Democrats could create some international plan getting all of these scientific communities outside of just the US, and even international governments on their side for something that they're just trying to get Trump out of office. I feel like that's heavily ridiculous.
Trump was the thorn that nobody saw coming, and they had to find a way to get him out of there. If there's no mail-in voting, 100% Trump is the president right now, 100%.
Yeah, because overwhelmingly mail-in ballots were to Biden, and that's obvious.
Exactly.
It's not because mail-in ballots are fraudulent, because mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was the safest election in recorded history.
There's a lot of videos, so you see people with fake ballots, so that's here and there. I'm not about
That's just hearsay from random people on TikTok. Are we really gonna take that as empirical evidence?
It's a personal opinion.
My name is Parker, I'm 19, and I'm a liberal. My sisters and I have become a lot more liberal, a lot more left-leaning over time, while my parents have stayed a bit conservative. Before, when I was a conservative, I kind of just went off a lot of the indoctrination and propaganda that was spread to me when I was
43% left, this guy. 40% left, this guy.
As a kid, I grew up on the fact that, we shouldn't have increased taxes because taxes are just negatively affecting us. Personal responsibility isn't what a lot of the decisions people make in society is based on. It's mainly based upon their environments, how they're socialized by their parents, people around them, things like that.
My news source is more reliable than the other side's.
Uh-oh.
Okay, news source.
Well, how do you qualify reliable, though?
When I look at conservative news, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with, and so...
What do you mean I'm not centrist? I've done the political compass plenty of times, okay? I end up centrist both times, a little bit.
If everything comes from opinion and just people developing their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable to me.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for news media organizations to stop prioritizing having really vivid headlines that might not necessarily be 100% accurate.
I think that starts with putting people over profit. They want the biggest story or whatever, and they don't want to actually give the news that would be beneficial to our everyday average Americans. And I think that if we put a lot more focus on putting people first instead of the big news or the big story, we can change that.
Okay. The right, the left, the backwards, the circle, the fucking, the square. Nobody does that though. Nobody puts these are businesses trying to thrive, motherfucker. They don't give a shit.
Society.
I agree with you 100%.
They don't give
I say the civil rights movement is the civil rights entertainment industry.
What are you on about?
It's so profitable. Put a police shooting on TV. It's breaking news. Every headline is on every social media. You're selling shirts. You're selling signs. That's so much more profitable than showing me and you shaking hands. The news media is literally capitalizing off the emotions of society. No matter how you feel about it, handle it in your privacy of your house. Why? Because if you can do it on camera, somebody's gonna make $1 off of it, and that's not fair to you.
Young people today are too sensitive.
Not true. Wow, cringe.
So I think it's a good thing that young people are sensitive. I think today they can be more sensitive than what they probably could have been 30 or 40 years ago.
Cringe.
You know, the growing up was the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we had the threat of annihilation, you know, staring at us
guys,
several times.
What is he talking about?
And a lot of times I go, you know, thank God John Kennedy handled it.
Anytime he talks, this guy's talking about fucking stories from like 100 years ago,
for
dude.
so long. They're trying to
History?
make it so a man can't be a man. And if you don't let men be men, then things start crumbling. Society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need their fathers. So 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me. Maybe I should be gay, maybe I should be trans, I don't know who I am. And your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect to anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America. There's no better place.
What the fuck is this guy talking about?
To be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you. Johnny.
Wait, he said what? Hold on.
The men are soft, and if we had to go to war, they're not protecting America. There's no better place to be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you.
Okay, that makes sense, but I don't know.
Johnny, I'm 32 years old, and I am a conservative parent. My grandfather was a no excuse
But it's not because you're soft,
individual. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, but he worked hard. The house that he bought is still in our family.
Yeah, the last part is right, but in correlation to the first part, it doesn't make sense though. But not because you're gay or you're trans that you're soft. What the fuck is that?
Family today, he had a garden in his backyard. If you step past a certain line, he got on you. So to watch the men before me who really could have been lynched for stepping out of line, who really could have went through a hardship.
My man's is 80%, 86% right. Whew, sheesh.
For not doing what society said. The worst thing that can happen to me is I get a mean tweet or a dislike. So I gotta fully embrace who I am, and I know I can create anything with my 2 hands and feet.
I'm Hannah, I'm 17, and I'm a liberal. I really want equality for all, and the liberal policies that have been passed side more with my values of equality for those who are on the LGBTQ, those who are on the gender spectrum. Something about conservative parents that I don't like is whenever I come across them, they seem to be very rooted in their ways and not willing.
So she watches a high factuality and she's 57%
to listen to someone who's a teenager like me. They think more like, oh, because I'm older, I have more knowledge, which is not necessarily always the case.
Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
This idea that because men are being raised by women that they're weaker is, in my opinion, completely false. Our generation, it's not more sensitive, we're more aware of all these things. Being transgender and gay is not something that should be ashamed of or make you feel less. In today's society, that is why women are fighting for equality.
Guys, this is not even a take chat, but because I think it's good to have a balance of masculinity, femininity, both father figure, mother figure. It's good to get it both, okay?
Because this idea that because they only have a mom, they're weaker, or because they're more sensitive, that's, in my opinion, completely false.
And I would say in the environment that I grew up in, the teen pregnancies come from girls without fathers. The homicides come from people without fathers. Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men they procreate with. If you make a bad choice, that's your responsibility. Every bad thing that I did in my life, it was when my daddy was in jail. When my dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter that had to move across the country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic? Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal with those kinds of relationships. The mother knows better, I would say, than the father about that.
We're not more sensitive.
The what? The fucking what?
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic? Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal with those kinds of relationships. The mother knows better, I would say, than the father about that.
We're not more sensitive, there's just more opportunities for us to be sensitive. You can say like 15, 20 years ago, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police all over the internet. Now that that's there, people are more inclined to feel a certain way or take a
He's half right. I'm gonna go ahead and say he's right, half right.
stance on that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get cut.
As much as he's right, there's guys, there's more videos or accessible things of wrongdoing happening. There's also a lot of evidence, a lot of examples of how being upset makes things reach your goals. Even when you're wrong, being mauled and being snowflake Andy makes pieces move when they shouldn't. Fucking fake cancel culture makes things change when they shouldn't change sometimes. Dude, motherfucker. So yeah, that's why I said half right.
Black guys by cops.
If you look at the amount of white people,
it's not only good. Don't say it's all good.
People and the amount of black people, there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in America. The percentage of black people that are being killed is higher than the percentage of white people.
Well, just because you're pulled over doesn't mean you have to resist. I mean, they don't just kill you when they pull you over. It's all about based on how you perform as an individual. I've been pulled over and never had a bad interaction in my life. When I was rude, I got snatched out the car. Everything is a personal choice. If you can't take accountability for your life, then you will forever be a slave.
That's not true. There are definitely issues on the side of policing. Black communities, majority black communities, majority POC communities are over-policed.
I'm no speaker. If I speak big trouble,
there's larger patrols in black communities. There are police work longer hours in majority black communities. So there's an issue from the policing side as well.
Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
But that's your fault. That is literally your fault.
I'm sure you could relate to this as well, but in the Asian
community, if politics damage relationship, it is most of the time. I don't want to discriminate to chat. It is 90% your fault.
There's a lot of anti-blackness. So, with the advent of the Black Lives Matter movement this past year, having conversations with my parents was really difficult, especially around the nuances of racial justice and sort of like what the movement was fighting for.
You guys say you don't like politics. Politics is dog shit. Guys. Everything we do is politics. Not everything around us is politics. Inherently, it's all politics. That's just how it is, though.
And how to articulate that in like.
When you think about politics, you guys think voting and president and laws. That's not how it is. It's not. It's more than that, though.
Very closed mindset that my parents had.
A lot of my family voted for Trump in the past election, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like to say this, but it made me view their morals a little bit differently, and they're willing to adapt and change was so different, and I was just like shocked because I wanted to understand their side and really talk about it, and I was met with, you're wrong, and we don't want to talk about it, and that kind of really damaged just kind of the way I looked at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I also think that it just made me less willing to expend the energy to have political or like just like any like hard conversations with my parents or anyone else in my family.
Guys, it should be healthy, guys. When things are factual, you can say, hey man, you're wrong because look at these facts. That's cool. When it's opinionated, you can say, hey man, here's how I think and here's how they think. Maybe you have a mix and they have a different perspective and you have a healthy dialogue and you have a healthy outcome. That's how it should be. But these motherfuckers, they're gonna go.
My name is Ritwick. I'm 18.
They're gonna throw the entire family into a fucking fire before they say I'm wrong. Fuck all that. That's
I'm a liberal. I grew up in a low-income immigrant household, and I think the systems that are in place right now aren't sufficient enough to support people, Americans like myself or my family. Because my parents were immigrants, I think they were liberal on issues like immigration and things that directly affected them. I'd like to ask to the conservative parents why they don't necessarily listen or adopt their own beliefs, whether political or social, based on the conversations they have with their children and why they're so set in their ways.
You know, I read a lot of the tragic stories where family members don't talk to each other anymore. Personally, I think that's sad. Do all my family members vote the same? No. Do we have a pretty good idea of how family members may have voted? Yeah. But we went more of agree to disagree. I'm not gonna not buy you a present for Christmas because, you know, you decided to vote for somebody that I don't like. Give me a break. Families are special. And we've got too many people, as you've talked about, that don't have them.
When I took this prompt, I kind of took it more of like, my view of the person changed differently because, not because of the way they voted, but because some of their values to me were, like he said, moral values, and that shows kind of part of their characters.
Would you say that morality is subjective to each individual person though? Or would you say morals are the same across the board?
The basic is human equality for all. And so if you don't believe that somebody should have an equality based on their gender, their sexual orientation, or their race, or anything like that, that's a moral problem in my eyes.
That's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and
but
all that
who
whole
said
thing.
that, though?
So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon.
Was that the topic?
At 8 years old is when you get baptized. And so if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. And so where I have a problem with the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old and they're pushing them down.
He said what?
So where I have a problem with the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old and they're pushing them down that path.
Who's they?
Who's they?
Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and et cetera?
There's a lot of groups out there.
Like?
I've just heard that there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't think there's groups out there that do that?
No.
I'm assuming you're a straight man, so I think it's weird for you to comment on the queer experience and what that's like for someone growing up who's struggling with those experiences. The way you're describing it as indoctrination, people who are bigger
groups of what?
out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16, man. I know how I used to think at 21, man. I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first tattoo at 15. I'm covered now. If I was a little older, I probably would have waited. When you're young, you're not thinking. And everybody has made a bad choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back. The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop.
Guys, as much as some of you say he's right, I don't think you can mix up thinking and feeling and just know it. Thinking is different. It's more mechanical. Thinking is a much more mechanical task than feeling it.
That's indoctrination because you're trying to get them while they're not fully cognitive to know what's going on.
The older you get, the more conservative you become.
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I became a father because I had a reason to.
That was not brain dead.
You would agree with that.
Yeah, as I've gotten older and the environment.
Guys, how is that? How to understand it, guys? It's something weird, man. Motherfucker, guys. If you say I want to have a tattoo, oh man, you're thinking I'm gonna have this the rest of my life. Can I remove it? When? How is it gonna be? And you start thinking, is this gonna affect my jobs, or whatever? Is it gonna affect how people see me, or whatever? It's mechanical thinking. But if you say, hey man, I think, I like men, or I like women. It's such a complete different fucking line. It's such a complete different ball game. Like whether you're attracted to a man or a female, okay? Right now, it's a completely different sort of process that happens of whenever you're thinking about getting a tattoo or not.
We're in right now. I feel like they're trying to cancel the Constitution. They're trying to cancel Christianity.
I mean, most teenagers are liberal. I was liberal when I was teen. It's fun. Culture is liberal. So when you're younger, you're going to be a part of culture.
Right.
When you're older, you're trying to raise your family. You don't have a time to care about what LeBron James said or who did that. Just when you mature, you value what's around you.
My name's Sean. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. My dad's kind of my idol. I've seen him basically build a very successful life and seen how simple he's lived his life through prayer and through just basic conservative principles. Being raised up LDS or Mormon, I saw a lot of just judgment, and so I don't necessarily believe that you have to be in a religion, but I do believe in prayer. I've been all across the board as far as the way my life has gone, and at my happiest times, I've lived by conservative values.
Building off what you're saying about like teenagers, we're a different generation, and so we view the world differently, and I think that's probably why you've seen more teenagers be liberal, because we just view the world that way, but I don't think it has anything to do with
No, my generation, I was liberal too when I was a teenager, and all my friends were too. And when you're a teenager, life is fun. It's just totally, you kick it, you party. So that's what I'm saying. I get the teenage. As you grow, you either can run away from responsibility or embrace responsibility. When there's real things going on, you start looking at life a little different. Versus when I was young, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about corporate gains tax, and I didn't know about my stock account, and I didn't know that I can, all these things that I didn't know when I was a kid.
So when people are generally talking about taxing the rich more, they're talking about the top 400 billionaires that are literally paying a lower effective tax rate in taxes than the middle class. The top 400 billionaires paying an effective tax rate of 8%, that's obviously not a fair share. And I think obviously everyone can agree here that they should be paying at least a fair share, right?
How do you increase taxes on someone's assets though? Most of those billionaires aren't.
Unrealized capital gains is how they're specifically trying to do it now, but it would be through long-term capital gains, because a lot of the people who are paying those taxes, they're paying capital gains tax rate. There's also tax loopholes that have been lobbied into Congress by lobbying politicians to get whatever they want.
So if you get older and you work yourself off and you become a multimillionaire, you deserve to pay more because other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me. It's because we, as a society, want to give everyone access to things like basic necessities like healthcare, education, have everyone have an equal opportunity. We don't have that right now.
You can have equal opportunity of a baseline, but the outcome would still be different because every individual is going to work different levels,
well,
correct?
Obviously, yeah.
Right, so I think that's where we are as a society. I was able to pull it off. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. I don't have a college degree. So the only limits are the limits you place on yourself. That's just my perspective.
America is the best country in the world.
I think despite all of our challenges and problems, when you look at all the other countries of the world, everybody is still trying to come here.
The way I can talk out loud, the way I can feel myself, the way I can express myself fully as an individual, it ain't really places black men can go do that outside of America.
3 years ago, when I got
Where's this young child
into the court systems and the different rights taken away from me and government control and government power. And so when you have that stuff stripped away from you and you realize most other countries don't have the freedom that America has. America has been the greatest country ever, and I think it will continue because of a lot of good people that stand up for the right things.
Guys, it was a big fat emote, and it's a chills.
I think I would like to ask the question, what is America the best at?
I think we just was talking about the freedoms that we have here versus what they don't have in other countries.
So what about places in Scandinavia that actually have higher amounts of freedom? They have better democracies than we do here, higher quality of life, higher median income. They have healthcare systems that are more efficient, that take care of everyone in their population, more access to education.
But when you look at the big picture, everybody wants to come here. Millions of people are not.
Chat, I'm being honest, chat, guys. Even though I do agree, chat, that America is not the best country. Okay, a lot of the examples people use are countries that work at much smaller scales, where things kind of make sense or are easier to monitor and easier to do. But when you upscale these things, they become much harder to control and it becomes a disaster.
Trying to get
That's just kind of how it is.
Why?
Guys, it's like when we see guys. Oh, guys, look, guys. This country, look how they treat their prisoners. They have a computer. They have this. And it's all chill. And you check total country fucking prisoners 120. You're like, dude, motherfucker. Like, I don't know.
We have more opportunity than any other place in the world.
We don't even make the top 25 in women equality.
But we have a better opportunity to do something about it compared to other countries. And I would love it for Europe to open their borders the way we have and see if you can get people from other parts of the world to do mass migration to Europe.
I was going to mention Scandinavian countries as well, but I think it's also important to address that Scandinavian countries are very homogenous, racially, socioeconomically. They don't face the same geographic diversity that we have. What you were mentioning with the fact that we have the opportunity to write with women inequality, why is that not happening? It's because the way our democracy is set up, our Congress is literally in a gridlock right now, as it has been for so many past sessions of Congress. We aren't getting anything productive done.
The opportunity we have here is incredible, and I'm very happy that I live here and not somewhere else, but we are so focused on...
Yeah, good luck, chat. It means that whenever there's things that have to be passed, whatever, the fucking Congress is like, I think I get it.
Oh, America is the best, that we don't look at these other countries and say, why are all those people so happy, and what is that, and how can we incorporate that into our society?
I mean, I would say, I think diversity is good. I think diversity of thought and diversity of opinion, it's super helpful. It's really easy to get clogged up into this groupthink. So I don't expect anyone else to agree with me or feel the way I feel. I just expect you to respect my right to feel this way. I respect your right to feel this way, and we keep it moving.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more, actually.
Awesome, that's a wrap.
Who's clapping like that, motherfucker? What are you doing with your hands, man?
When your kid wakes you